everybody, this is again your favorite host, Ilona from the Ilona TV. And today we're going to be speaking about something very special, like maybe the question that you probably heard about or you want to discuss more. You heard this saying that says, everything falls and rises on leadership. But let me give me my idea and a different version of it. Everything rises and falls on womanship. And today we have a special guest that will be speaking about leadership and women in leadership. We have a Shannon, who is a voice and eyes and ears of our Brooklyn Park. She is the queen of this place, and she is a CCX Media, director. Hi, Shannon. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for the flattering introduction. My name is Shannon Slatton-Schwartz. I'm executive director here at CCX Media. I'm so happy to be on your show. I'm so flattered.
So people know you as, honestly, queen of this place. You dominate this area, you dominate everything, and you literally know everything that is going on in here. But we don't know you. What is a few things would you like, you want us to know about you?
All right. Well, I grew up in a small town in southwest Arkansas called Delight. So it's very rural. I graduated high school with only 26 students, less than 10,000 people in the county. So it was extremely rural. I knew from a young age, though, that I was interested in news. I didn't know if I wanted to be a reporter, if I wanted to do TV, but I just knew I was interested in what was happening. I remember stopping playing basketball. I was shooting hoops outside, but I had to stop in time to get inside and see what Peter Jennings said on the newscast. And I didn't know that was an odd thing, I think, until I remember trying to talk to my classmates about a story, and they had no idea. So I guess then I knew that I'd been bitten by the news bug, and I was really just interested in what was going on in the world. So I didn't really go down that road, though, until college. I didn't know what I wanted to do in college, and I happened to take a mass media class. And going to that first reporting class and just kind of seeing a little bit behind the curtain of how the news is made, it just really got me interested. And still at that point, I didn't know if I wanted to just be a writer, if I wanted to be that type of reporter, if I wanted to be on camera. I was very shy, actually, growing up, or if I wanted to work behind the scenes, directing. But I got my feet wet, and so that was a good thing. And then, do you just want me to keep going with my story?
Yes, absolutely, yes. We will, of course, ask the questions because we love to learn more about you, Shannon. It's just...
Well, thank you. Well, I think I figured out that I wanted to do television news when I had an internship, and I was just going through the halls in college, and I saw a poster advertising internships in Washington, D.C., and I'd never been outside of the Deep South. And that really opened my eyes. Most of the students that I was housed with, they were working in different embassies, and they were from all over the country. And it was just really interesting. I was working for a talk media news service. And so basically they would send us with the equipment all over Washington, D.C. to bring sound back. And it was really interesting, and I really credit that experience with changing the trajectory of my life. I knew I wanted to do TV news. I knew that I needed to get a little bit more education than I had in college. So then I started looking at grad schools and just how do I learn this craft. And I had a great summer too. I mean, Washington, D.C. is a great place to explore, right? And I would just soak in the museums and all of the performances and things that just happen in D.C. when you're there. So I really look back on that just being a pivotal summer and a great experience. So I fully endorse internships, they're great. I got my graduate degree at Syracuse University, and it was very much like I was the country girl coming from Arkansas, even though Syracuse isn't, it's a medium-sized American city, but it still was very different than what I was used to. I tutored students in school, I waited tables, I was a sorority house mom, which was a really fun experience. I still say that was one of the most fun jobs that I've ever had. And I learned the craft. I was there during 9/11, and so even though we weren't in New York City, we were close, and so that was really interesting to have that viewpoint. And then I started working in Shreveport, Louisiana, right after college, and so I worked there for 5 years at the NBC affiliate. Once again, I had the front row seat to a lot of big things that happened. We were there when Hurricane Katrina went through, when the Space Shuttle Columbia exploded over East Texas. That was in our viewing area, and we were out there. And then it was the War on Terror, and there was an Air Force base in that community, so I really got to see some of that. So it really was a great experience. I married one of the sports guys at the station that I was actually met in Syracuse. We were in the same class, and he got his first job somewhere else, and then he came down to Louisiana and we got married, and he wanted to cover hockey in the state of hockey. So I truly say hockey is the reason why I came to Minnesota, even though I knew nothing about the sport. But I've had 2 kids that have played it now, so I'm like, I am one of you now. I've spent way too much time in a hockey rink not to be considered a Minnesotan. So when we got here, it was during the recession in 2007, 2008. No one was hiring in the Twin Cities. I got a job working actually for Three Rivers Park District, being a seasonal interpreter and talking about nature and Minnesota history to school kids. And it really was a good mental break that I think I needed from working in the news business. But just through networking, I found out about CCX Media. Then it was Northwest Community Television and 12 News. And so I started freelancing as a reporter. And over 15 years later, here I am. So I worked in several different capacities in the news department. And I stepped into the role of executive director this past May. And so I'm still learning things every single day. But I couldn't be prouder to work for what we do here at CCX Media. We are just a servant of the community. We love getting out in the community, telling stories, giving a platform for other people to tell stories and share what they're passionate about. So it's been quite a ride, and I'm really excited to see what happens next.
I love your journey that it started with a curiosity.
It did.
Sometimes people dismiss that, but that imagination, curiosity, what can happen, what could have happened with me, and you went with this passion. You didn't let that stop you, because it was your dream was bigger than yourself.
Maybe
bigger
yeah.
than your city, bigger than your town that you grew up with. How can that happen? And that's what I want when people go fearlessly, right? Without being fears, without fears even, right? That guide them to go after their dreams. It's it's just absolutely incredible. You know everything about anything in the city. But I want to know, how do your kids see you? And you're incredible, my mom, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope my kids, well, I'll tell you, when it comes to who they're going to ask something for, me or their dad, they're probably going to ask their dad for something because they know mom's going to make them toe the line a little bit. But you know, one thing that I mention a lot with the kids is, you know, it's okay to have fear. It's okay to be scared, because guess what? You can't have courage without first having fear, right? People aren't just brave without first feeling that fear. And so it's okay to put yourself out there and try new things, whether you're navigating middle school or a new experience, or you know, one of the many things that people tackle in everyday life. It's okay to be scared, but sometimes that first step, you know, it's the hardest step to take, but you got to try.
Yes.
And you got to start somewhere.
So women in leadership, what benefits does it have the community can have to reap for the women in leadership, women in maybe country? How can anyone reap the benefit of women in leadership? Because right now it's such a big topic. Everybody wants to know why the women, just be in the background. No.
Sure, no. I think there definitely is a place for women at the table to tell our stories and to lead with compassion and heart and knowledge that we've had for so long. I've been fortunate to have a few mentors, but not really, because we're just now seeing women kind of make their way to the top of city governments and businesses and that sort of thing. They've always been there, but we're starting to see more of them, and that's good. And that gives me hope for the future, for what the world might look like when my daughter comes along, just to see more female bosses out there, because I think it's good.
It's it's a different stream. And to be honest with you, women do produce leaders. Guess who is raising them?
The moms are, right?
The moms are. While fathers are out there doing their job, moms are the one who pouring their passions, their loves, you know, taking care of their dreams, right? Wiping their tears when they're coming back. And I cannot do, what is the 1 + 1, mom? I cannot do the math. Who is there taking care of their needs, basic needs, you know, emotional needs? Who is raising the future presidents? Who is raising future CEOs? Right, mothers do. And see how many CEOs, when I watch them, and they contribute their success to their moms behind the scenes. Nobody knows their names, the moms' names, but everybody knows now what mothers can do to produce that. And that's why I think we're really good with that. We're great contributors and producers of the leaders in the next generation. So how how would you want to encourage right now a woman who is right now maybe considers herself as a kitchen wife?
Sure. I think the hardest thing maybe is knowing what to do first and where to go and where to follow your dream. And maybe she's fulfilled in that kitchen, and that's okay. We need those women in our lives too. So I think it's just figuring out which direction you want to go and taking that first step and knowing it's okay to do hard things. I have a few pictures that I keep of like moments when I know I had to tackle something hard. I ran one marathon. I'm a one and done. It was hard. I don't know if I have the time in my life for that. But the only picture I took on the race was mile 19, because that was the hardest one. And just knowing, and so like, okay, I did that. I happen to have another picture that I keep, and it was the day that our boss here at CCX Media told us we were all going to go remote. And I happened to have my kids at work that day, and I had no idea that one of the kids was taking a picture with their iPad. And it was me just looking so confused, because I was looking at him thinking, how are we going to do this? Here we were in front of this challenge that we had no idea what was going to be on the other side of that. So I have that picture too, and that moment of knowing like this is a hard thing, but you can get through it.
Wow.
And you might change your path a little bit. It'll probably change you, but you can do it, and you can look back on those moments in life and know like I did that, so I'm going to be ready to do this.
I love it. I love the Pictionary, right? When we capture the moments, and I have my pictures for the future, what I want to look in the future, what I want to do in the picture. So pictures do remind us, motivate us. And I like what you said about your kids earlier, that fear is a part of your success. It's not your enemy. It's the one that's going to fire you up. And the only way that you can, quiet the small fear is by having the big fear.
Sure.
And continue to get the big fear, because the fear is the dreams, right? We create the dreams that is hard for us to conquer, because we have a big letter, big question, big word, how? And that's what creates the fear. But I absolutely love that thing. I love what Margaret Thatcher also said. If you want something to be said, ask the man. But if you want something to be done, ask the woman.
Oh, that's nice. That's a great quote.
Yes, and she was a fierce woman, battling for every single one and advocating what woman can be done and how she contributes. Even the simple kitchen wife, she does so much to make sure that everyone else can follow their dreams.
And we like to go over to their houses, right?
Yes.
Because they can cook well, and they're going to put a spread out for us, and we love every minute of that.
The ministry and the leadership can be developed and through anything, through the food, the way you talk, the way you raise the kids, through the schools, through the big corporation like you're working for, and the leadership role that you are right now. And so, in anything that's so, can you please give us the last word of wisdom?
Oh my goodness, one last word of wisdom. I think I would go back to sometimes the hardest thing is taking that first step. And maybe too, like, it's okay not to know, because I think there was always so much pressure on us to say, like, what is your dream? Well, maybe you've got a couple in the back of your mind and you're trying to figure out how they all work together. And I think it's okay to sit in that and be uncertain, but then just take that first step toward the goal that you want to take. And I think every step becomes a little bit easier.
Thank you so much, Shannon, for being with us, for finding the time from your busy schedule to educate, inspire, encourage, and empower every single woman in here who's going to be listening to that. So, and remember that we need you. Just if you're standing in the kitchen and cooking something, remember that you're valuable, that what you do is very, very important. Please continue to raise this new generation of the fast, forward-thinking individuals, the leaders, the CEOs, the presidents, those people that we need to change the time, to change this culture, and to change this world for the better. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. That was Ilona from Ilona TV. We'll see you next time.